Good morning, everyone. Today's class is continuation of last topic, that is cervical lymph node. In the last topic, we had discussed about tuberculous lymph node. In this class, we are going to discuss about metastatic lymph node. Okay. Before starting the class, let us take some of the questions of the previous topic. Total participants 48. Okay. Roll number 105. Roll number 105, please unmute yourself. Roll number 105. Okay. Roll number 104. Roll number 104. Are you able to
Yes, ma'am.
help? Roll
Yes,
number.
ma'am.
What's your name?
Divya, ma'am.
Okay. Divya, tell me what is the topic we had discussed in the last class? Divya?
Tuberculosis.
Tuberculosis? Tuberculosis? Are you able to hear me? Divya?
Yes, ma'am.
Then what is the tuberculosis? Tell me completely. Divya, what is the topic we had discussed in the last class?
Pathophysiology of tuberculosis.
What is pathophysiology of tuberculosis? See, we had discussed about the cervical lymph node of tuberculous etiology, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now tell me, what are the different stages of tuberculous lymph nodes? Divya,
Yes, ma'am.
tell me, what are the stages of tuberculous lymph nodes?
5 stages, ma'am.
Good. Tell me, what are the 5 stages? Have you attended the last class? Divya,
Hello.
tell me, what are the 5 stages?
Hello.
Yeah, I am able to hear you. Just tell me, what are the 5 stages of tuberculous lymph nodes?
Hello.
Yeah, stage. Tell me. Stage 1.
Stage 1, there is lymph nodes are enlarged and solid, ma'am.
That is lymphadenopathy. Just lymphadenopathy. Stage 1 is nothing but lymphadenopathy. Okay. Stage 2.
Stage 2, lymph nodes are large and firm and matted, ma'am.
Yeah. Stage 2 is matting. Matting is important in the stage 2, right? Stage 3.
Stage 3, cessation occurs, ma'am. Caseating necrosis occurs, ma'am.
Okay. That is Okay.
Cold abscess.
Cold abscess. Stage 3 is cold abscess due to caseation necrosis. Right. Good. Next, stage 4.
Stage 4 collar stud abscess, ma'am.
Very good. Next, stage 5.
Sinus formation will be there, ma'am.
Right. Just repeat again. How many stages are there in tuberculous lymph nodes?
5 stages, ma'am.
Very good.
Stage 1, there is no matting, just
It
lymph
is
nodes
just
are enlarged and solid.
right.
Stage 2, lymph nodes are large, firm and matted.
Very good.
Stage 3, caseating necrosis and cold abscess.
Hmm.
Stage 4, collared stud abscess. Stage 5, sinus formation.
Good. What is the name of roll number 105?
Harsha, ma'am.
Harsha.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, I am here, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Divya, you can mute yourself now. Harsha,
Yeah.
Ma'am,
tell me what are the indications for surgery, like surgical indications in case of tuberculous lymph nodes? What are the surgical indications? When do you perform surgery in case of tuberculous cervical lymph nodes? Now first tell me, what is the treatment of choice for cervical lymph nodes of tuberculous etiology? What is the treatment?
but ma'am, biopsy, ma'am.
I'm not asking you the investigation modality. I'm asking you the treatment. What is the treatment?
Drugs, ma'am, drugs.
Drugs. What is the name of the drugs? Do you for all the medical management use
Anti-tubercular drugs, ma'am.
right anti-tubercular drugs? So normally the treatment of choice for cervical tuberculous lymphadenopathy is medical treatment, that is anti-tubercular treatment, right? Now tell
Yes, ma'am.
me, what are the indications for surgery? When do you perform surgery?
Excision of, group of nodes excision if not responding to the medical management.
That is, you mean to say that for biopsies, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, biopsy.
And persistent sinus.
Yes, persistent sinus.
Collar stud abscess in case of collar stud abscess.
These are the common indications for surgery in case of tuberculous cervical lymph nodes. Repeat again.
Biopsy, persistent sinus, if not respond to the anti-tubercular treatment, and collar stud abscess.
Good. You can mute yourself now. Okay.
Thank you.
Roll number 44. Roll number 44.
Yes, ma'am.
What is your name?
Vidya, ma'am.
Vidya. Tell me different levels of lymph nodes. How many lymph nodes are there?
Superficial and deep.
No,
7 levels.
I'm not asking you the classification. I'm asking the levels. Okay, how many? 7.
7 levels.
7 levels of lymph nodes.
Sure.
What are the 7 levels of lymph nodes? Tell me.
Submental lymph nodes. Submandibular lymph nodes.
What is the level of submental and submandibular?
First, level 1.
Level 1 lymph nodes are submental and submandibular. Okay, next.
Preauricular lymph nodes.
No. I'm asking you what are the levels. There are 7 levels of lymph nodes. First level is submental and submandibular. Level 2.
Upper jugular, ma'am.
Right. Upper jugular.
Lymph nodes.
Okay. Level 3.
Level 3, middle jugular lymph nodes.
Very good. Then.
Lower jugular, 4th level of lymph nodes. Then lymph nodes in the posterior triangle.
Posterior triangle lymph nodes are which level?
5th level.
5th level. Posterior triangle lymph nodes are level 5 lymph nodes. Okay.
Yes. lymph nodes in anterior triangle, anterior and central compartments of neck.
Okay, that is level
6.
okay.
And lymph nodes in the superior mediastinum are 7th level.
Now tell me level 6. Just repeat level 6 lymph nodes again.
6 in anterior and central compartment of neck.
What are the lymph nodes?
Jugulohomohyoid.
See, level 6 lymph nodes are also known as Delphian lymph nodes. They are pretracheal, paratracheal lymph nodes which are important in the thyroid pathology, right? So, level 6 lymph nodes are also known as
Delphian lymph nodes.
Level 6 lymph nodes are also known as Delphian lymph nodes, and pretracheal and paratracheal lymph nodes belongs to level 6. They are important in thyroid pathology, right?
Yes. Okay.
Okay. You can mute yourself now.
Yes, ma'am.
47. Okay, absent, I guess. Then we'll go for 45. Roll number 45.
Hello. Yes, ma'am.
What's your name?
Sindhura, ma'am.
Sindhura. Tell me, what is the importance of level 6 lymph nodes? Just now I have explained to your friend. Okay, tell me how many levels of lymph nodes are there?
7, ma'am.
Okay. Tell me what is level 5 lymph nodes?
Posterior triangle lymph node.
Then what is level 6?
Anterior compartment.
I just had told to your friend, like your colleague, roll number 44, I guess. What are the level 6 lymph nodes? What is the importance of level 6 lymph nodes? Just now. So you're not listening the class?
Yes, ma'am.
What is the other name for level?
If there is any
Huh?
if there is any metastasis in the level
What is the other name for level 6 lymph nodes?
6, Delphian nodes.
Very good. Delphian nodes. And what are the nodes in level 6? What are the names of nodes?
Paratracheal.
Very good. Paratracheal and pretracheal. Right. Okay. You can mute yourself. Now we are going to enter today's topic, that is metastatic cervical lymph node. Okay. This is the case capsule 2. In the last topic, last class we have discussed about the tuberculous cervical lymph node. In this class, the case is 65-year-old male. See the age of the patient. It is 65-year-old male. Patient presents with hard lymph nodes. Okay. These lymph nodes are hard in consistency, of swelling of size 3 centimeters, involving level 3 group on right side. So 65-year-old male, hard lymph node and level 3 group on right side. The swelling is mobile. The superficial temporal artery is palpable, cranial nerves are normal, and there are no abdominal, chest or ENT complaints. The patient is apparently healthy. With this clinical findings, what is the diagnosis in this case? So this is a picture. This is right side, level 3 lymph nodes. They are hard in consistency. Okay. What is the diagnosis? We'll ask questions. Roll number 51.
Hello, ma'am.
Tell me, what is your name?
Hima, ma'am.
Hima, tell me, what is the diagnosis in this case? 65-year elderly male, hard lymph nodes, hard cervical lymph nodes, involving level 3. What is the diagnosis?
Jugular, ma'am.
No, I'm not asking you which level of lymph nodes. What is the diagnosis? Like, what is the disease in this patient? When do you find hard lymph nodes? Hima, tell me what is the different types of consistencies of a swelling?
Soft, hard, and firm, ma'am.
Soft, hard, and firm.
Firm.
So tell me the conditions where do you see hard swellings? Hard swellings.
Malignancies, ma'am.
Yes, malignancy. Hard swellings we will see in case of hard consistency in case of malignancy.
Malignancies.
So malignant cervical lymph nodes. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
So malignant cervical lymph nodes, we also say like metastatic, right? Cervical lymph nodes, this is the case of metastatic cervical lymph node or secondaries in the neck, right?
Yes, ma'am.
What are the other clinical findings in favor of malignancy? One is hard consistency. The other one is, in this case,
Extension.
did I told you anything about the extension in this case? What is the
No,
age?
ma'am.
What is the age of the patient?
65-year-old, ma'am.
So, in case of elderly, whether infectious is common or malignancy is common.
Malignancy is common.
Okay, so in this case, it is metastatic cervical lymph nodes or secondaries in the neck.
Yes, ma'am.
So, tell me what are the features of cervical lymph node of tuberculous etiology?
It is inflammatory, caseating.
No, clinical findings, not about the theory. What are the clinical findings in metastasis in malignancy?
There is no pain, weight loss, cachexia.
Tell me not on history, on clinical findings, on clinical examination.
Clinical examination. Hard
consistency is favorable of malignancy.
Malignancy, ma'am.
What is the consistency that is favorable of tuberculosis?
Soft.
It is not soft. Okay. It is like varying consistency. Okay, some are soft, some are firm. That is varying consistency. And what is the other most important in case of tuberculous lymph nodes clinical examination? Some of your friends had answered it. Very good. Roll number 117, that is matted lymph nodes. Okay, matting is a characteristic of tuberculosis. So, on clinical examination, tuberculosis, it is varying consistency and matting. In case of malignancy, it is hard consistency, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, mute yourself. So, what is the most probable diagnosis in this case? It is metastatic lymph node, or we also say it is secondaries of the neck. Next. What are the important features you have to ask in the history in case of secondaries of neck or metastatic lymph node? One is about for any malignancy. For any malignancy, you will ask about alcohol and tobacco use because these two are the risk factors for the malignancy. Next is otalgia. What is otalgia? Roll number 50.
Yes, ma'am.
What is meant by otalgia?
Ear pain, ma'am.
Ear pain.
Ear pain, ma'am.
Very good. Like in case of malignancy, and then what is meant by adenophasia?
Throat pain, ma'am. While swallowing.
Yes, painful swallowing. What is dysphagia?
Uh, pain during eating, ma'am. Pain, pain during eating, ma'am.
What is the difference between odonophagia and dysphagia then? See, odonophagia is painful swallowing, whereas
Yes, ma'am.
dysphagia is difficulty in swallowing, right?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Equal
Difficulty in swallowing.
difficulty. Okay. Okay. You can mute yourself. Next, see, otalgia is pain, ear pain. Because of the referred pain, the nerve supplies in the like base of the tongue, tonsil, hypopharynx, this nerve supplies, there is referred pain to the ear, otalgia. So, if the patient present to you with the secondaries in the neck or cervical lymph nodes, which are hard in consistency, then you have to ask about ear pain in the history. And you have to ask about odonophagia. Why is there any pain during swallowing? Because if there is a cancer at the base of the tongue, then it will be painful swallowing. There will be pain during swallowing, hypopharynx, cervical nodes. Similarly, you have to ask about bleeding from the nose. Next, about hemoptysis. Any hemoptysis is like coughing. So we have to ask here one question. Chill. Roll number 53. Roll number 53.
Hello, ma'am.
Tell me what is meant by hemoptysis, what is meant by hematemesis, what is meant by melena.
Hematemesis means blood in vomitings, ma'am.
Yes, very good. Vomiting.
Hemoptysis means cough with blood, ma'am.
Very good. Melena?
Melena, blood in stools. Dark stools, ma'am. Dark stools.
Okay. Then what is meant by hematochezia? What is the difference between melena and hematochezia? See, frank blood in stools is hematochezia, whereas melena is an altered dark tarry blood. That is
Yes.
melena.
Melena.
Melena
Yes, ma'am.
indicates the blood is from the upper GI tract. Whereas hematochezia means fresh blood in the stools. That indicates blood is from the lower GIT. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
You can mute yourself. Next, you can also ask about alteration of phonation, like during the speech, difficulty in breathing, difficulty in swallow. These are all the history, all the symptoms. You have to ask the patient if you find any suspicion of secondaries in the neck. And also difficulty in hearing, hoarseness of voice. Hoarseness of voice, most important in case of carcinoma thyroid and carcinoma glottis. And is there any history of prior SCC squamous cell carcinoma? These are the history points you have to ask if the patient, if you are suspecting any cervical lymph node which is of malignant in nature, like alcohol, tobacco use, otalgia, ear pain, odonophagia, bleeding from the nose, hemoptysis, alteration of phonation, difficulty in breathing, difficulty in swallowing, and difficulty in hearing, hoarseness of voice, history of prior SCC. Now, in case of examination, you have to examine the oral cavity completely. I think by now you have understand what is the class today, right? It is metastatic or secondaries of neck, cervical lymph node. Wait, I will ask some questions. Roll number 62. Roll number 62. Roll number 65.
Yes, ma'am.
What's your name?
Abhigna, ma'am.
Abhigna. What is today's class?
Metastatic cervical lymph nodes.
So that is your clinical diagnosis. So today's class, the clinical diagnosis is metastatic cervical
Cervical lymph
or
nodes.
secondaries in the neck. So what is your aim, or what is the thing you have to find by taking history and examination? What are the findings, or what is the ultimate thing you have to find in this case? What is meant by this metastatic cervical lymph node?
Carcinoma in
Carcinoma in.
malignant lymph nodes, ma'am. Cervical lymph nodes.
So there is malignant
Metastasis.
metastasis in the lymph nodes. So from where this metastasis has occurred?
From either oral cavity or
Yes. So you have to find where is the
primary.
That is the goal, or that is the main thing. By taking the history and examination, by taking complete history and examination, in this case, you have to know what is the main, what is the primary. So in case of metastatic lymph node, you have to find what is the primary. So there are two types of primary. One is you will know that sure this is the primary site. In some cases, you will not know what is the primary. That if you don't know where is the source of primary, after all the investigations also, then that situation or that case is known as occult primary. Okay. Occult primary is nothing but after complete investigations and after complete examination also, you are unable to find the source of primary. In case of cervical secondaries, metastatic lymph nodes, that is occult primary. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
So tell me different primary sites for metastatic cervical lymph nodes. Different.
Carcinoma thyroid, ma'am.
One is carcinoma thyroid. Okay, right?
Carcinoma in nasal cavity.
Nasal cavity.
Oral cavity.
Oral cavity.
Carcinoma of tongue, oral cavity.
Carcinoma of tongue, carcinoma of
trachea,
focus, salivary glands, chest, breast, abdomen, all these. So these are the potential sites of primary in case of cervical lymph nodes metastasis. Okay, you can mute yourself. So in this case, you have to, regarding history, okay, now regarding examination, the checklist for examination is careful examination of oral cavity. After removing, if any dentures are there, you have to remove. Then you have to see for careful examination of oral cavity. Next, bimanual palpation of floor of the mouth. You have to check for nasal block, sensory loss in distribution of intraorbital nerve, like maxillary sinus nerves, sinus cancer, and examination of cranial nerves, like 3 to 7 and 9, 12. Roll number 67. Roll number 67. Roll number 67. Roll number 68. $73. Roll number 73.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me how many cranial nerves are there?
Ma'am, can you?
12 cranial nerve.
12
12 man, 12 pairs.
Tell me what are the names of 12
Huh?
cranials?
Olfactory nerve, ophthalmic nerve, oculomotor nerve, uh, cochlear nerve, trigeminal, abduction, facial,
Hmm?
and facial and cranial, auditory nerve,
Hmm?
glossopharyngeal, vagus,
Hmm?
and hypoglossal nerve and spinal accessory.
Hypoglossal nerve and spinal accessory or spinal.
Spinal accessory and hypoglossal nerve.
So what is 11th nerve? What is 11th cranial nerve?
11th cranial nerve, spinal accessory nerve.
Very good. What is your name?
Venkatesh.
Very nice. Your anatomy is very good regarding this cranial nerves. Okay, you can mute yourself. So the cranial nerves you have to examine 3 to 7. That is facial nerve and 9 glossopharyngeal nerve and 12 hypoglossal nerve. All these nerves you have to examine to find whether there is nasopharyngeal carcinoma or not. This is the examination point. Now you have to look for Horner's syndrome also. Now what is this Horner's syndrome and when do you find this Horner's syndrome? For that, roll number 76. Roll number 76. Roll number 117. Roll number 117. Unable to unmute. Why you are unable? Then you can type the message regarding what is meant by Horner's syndrome. I'll ask another. Okay, roll number 111. Roll number 111. Roll number 112. Roll number 112. Roll number 110. Oh, why you are not? Okay. Roll number 110.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what is meant by what is Horner's syndrome?
It's a syncytosis, meiosis,
What is meant by?
It consists of ptosis, meiosis, and anhydrosis.
Ptosis, meiosis, anhydrosis, loss of ciliospinary reflex also. Okay. What is meant by ptosis?
A drooping of eyelid.
Upper eyelid. Drooping of upper eyelid. What is meant by meiosis?
Constriction of pupil.
Very good. What is meant by anhydrosis then?
Lack of less sweating.
Yes, absence of sweating. So Horner syndrome consists of like meiosis, anhidrosis, ptosis, and loss of ciliospinary reflex. Why? What is the reason for Horner syndrome? Why does it occur?
Due to damage of cervical sympathetic chain.
Very good. It is due to, you can mute yourself. It is due to the involvement of cervical sympathetic chain, extralaryngeal spread of, so you have to see for Horner syndrome. The features of Horner syndrome are meiosis, anhidrosis, and ptosis, absence of ciliospinal reflex. This occurs due to involvement of cervical sympathetic chain, extralaryngeal spread of laryngeal cancer, and also extracapsular invasion of cervical lymph node. And you have to look for trismus also. What is meant by this trismus? Very difficult to answer. 115. What is that?
Painful opening of the jaw, ma'am.
Very good. That is lock jaw or painful opening due to the involvement of temporomandibular joint. Huh? Okay. That is trismus. And a thorough ENT examination. So this is regarding the examination point in case of cervical lymph node. The aim in case of metastatic cervical lymph node is to find out what is the source of primary by doing all this examination. You have to examine the thyroid also. Examination of thyroid is important. Why? Because of that lateral aberrant thyroid. Roll number 118.
Hello. Good morning.
Tell me what is meant by this lateral aberrant thyroid. In the last class I had discussed.
Hello.
Tell me.
Metastasis from papillary cancer, ma'am.
Just tell me in a nice way, like you can more format that one. It is not only metastasis from the papillary carcinoma of thyroid, and also
Metastasis.
it is enlarged or metastatic cervical lymph node seen in case of papillary carcinoma of thyroid with normal thyroid gland. Okay, with normal thyroid gland is very important because you will not see any thyroid enlargement. Only you will find secondaries in the neck. The secondaries in the neck are the primaries from the thyroid gland. Okay. Just repeat it again.
The enlargement of cervical lymph nodes due to the metastasis from papillary thyroid carcinoma with normal thyroid gland.
With normal thyroid gland. On examination of the neck, you will find normal thyroid gland, but in the secondaries of the neck, you will see thyroid metastatic deposits from the papillary carcinoma. Right. Good. Now tell me, why do you examine the breast, examination of breast and examination of abdomen? Why do you have to examine?
Breast drains into the cervical lymph nodes.
Yes, breast drains into the cervical lymph nodes. What is that specific lymph node known as? On which side? Supraclavicular lymph nodes.
Left side, ma'am.
Left side supraclavicular lymph nodes is also known as what is the name of
Virchow's?
Yes, Virchow's node. So this neck secondaries of the neck, the primary can be thyroid. In that case, it will present as a lateral aberrant of thyroid. The primary can be from the breast or from the abdomen, like from the stomach. In such cases, it will present like left supraclavicular lymph node enlargement or Virchow's node. Okay. So whenever there are secondaries in the neck, you have to examine the oral cavity, complete head and neck examination, and also below the clavicle. What are the examination you have to do below the clavicle is examination of the breast, examination of the chest, examination of the abdomen. You can mute yourself. So, in case of metastatic lymph nodes or secondaries of neck lymph node, you have to examine thyroid gland also and also salivary glands, because preauricular lymph node is always like pleomorphic adenoma. Both are the differential diagnosis. So similarly, examination of breast, examination of chest, examination of abdomen, all these are important. You have to examine all this to find out what is the primary in case of metastatic or secondaries of neck. So I had already discussed like what is meant by occult primary. What is the definition of occult primary? Occult primary is when the lymph node is found to contain metastatic carcinoma. That is, as in this case, like metastatic carcinoma or metastatic lymph node. But the primary is unknown. Like you are not able to find out what is the primary. Even after all these investigations, after all the investigations, if you are not able to find out the primary, then it is called occult primary. Roll number 123, 123. Roll number 123. Tell me what is meant by occult primary.
It is. Hello, ma'am.
Yeah, I am able to hear you. Tell me.
When the metastasis of carcinoma lymph node is found in, it contains metastasis of carcinoma, but primary cause is unknown.
Okay. See, if the cervical lymph nodes contains metastatic deposits, but you are unable to find the source of primary after doing thorough examination and investigations, then it is known as occult
primary.
Oh, good. Roll number 125.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what is meant by occult primary.
Ma'am?
What is meant by occult primary? See, that's the same.
Lymph node is it contains metastatic carcinoma, but the primary is unknown.
Yes, the primary is unknown. Even after complete examination and thorough investigations, you are unable to find the
primary
source of the metastatic malignancy. Okay. See,
yes,
generally, if there is metastasis, you will find what is the primary. If there is metastasis in the cervical lymph nodes, then you will say the primary might be thyroid gland or oral cavity. But if you are unable to find what is the primary after examination and after investigations, then it is occult primary. So how do you proceed in the case of occult primary is today's class discussion, right? You can mute yourself now. What is the most important clinical examination in this case? Like this case with cervical lymph nodes, which are metastatic in nature, what is the most important clinical examination? We will ask roll number 127. Roll number 127.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what is the most important clinical examination in this case? I had already explained everything. I'm just asking you the questions again. What is the most important clinical examination in case of metastatic cervical lymph node? Which part of the body you have to examine in case of cervical lymph node which is metastatic?
Jugular.
What is your name? Roll number 127.
Manaswi, ma'am.
Tell me, what is the important examination? Which part of the body do you examine if the patient is having cervical lymph node, which is metastatic in nature? Are you listening to
Neck.
the
Neck.
neck, head and neck? Head and neck
Yes,
is the most important part of clinical examination. First, you
Yes,
have to do head and neck examination. Next, followed by, if you are unable to find the source, then you have to examine breast and the chest and everything. First is head and neck. Now tell me what is meant by occult primary.
A primary source of the metastasis is unknown even after the examination done.
Examination and investigations done, right? You can mute yourself. So a complete head and neck examination is important in case of cervical lymph node metastatic. In case of head and neck, you have to examine thyroid, parotid, oral, all this, okay? Other sites also. Roll number 129.
Yes, ma'am.
See, now this 65 elderly gentleman has presented to you with the cervical lymph nodes which are metastatic in nature. Right? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
What is your name?
Aishwarya, ma'am.
Aishwarya, what is level 3 lymph nodes?
Upper jugular lymph nodes.
Upper jugular is level 2 or level 3?
Upper upper jugular lymph nodes, ma'am.
Level 1 lymph nodes, sir?
Submental and submandibular.
Level 2?
Level 2 upper jugular, ma'am. Level 3 jugular.
Level 3?
Middle jugular lymph nodes, ma'am.
So now this 65 elderly gentleman with level 3 lymph nodes enlargement, which are hard in consistency, present to you in the OP clinic. After thorough examination, you have come to the diagnosis that it is a metastatic cervical lymph node. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So you have to find what is the source of primary. So you have done a complete and thorough head and neck examination. And you have also done examination of breast, abdomen and everything. In all the examinations, your clinical findings are nil or negligible. You are not able to find what is the primary site. Now, how do you proceed? So, did you understand my question?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
After complete
FNAC of lymph nodes, sir.
See, generally there are two types of investigations. Okay, we will not prefer FNAC in case of malignancies, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Your aim is, see, one, you are sure that it is a malignant lymph node. What is the need to do FNAC? By doing FNAC, you will know that whether it is metastatic or not, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you able to find, will you able to find the primary site by doing FNAC?
No, ma'am.
You will just come to know what is the histology feature of that metastatic lymph node, right?
Yes, ma'am.
But you will not find to know what is the primary. See, tell me why we have to find primary. What is the need for finding primary? Cervical lymph node, metastatic cervical lymph node is present and if there is a case of cervical metastatic lymph node, then what is the need for finding primary?
To know the exact cause for the treatment protocols.
Yes, to know the
exact for treatment.
Exact for treatment, because the treatment protocols are different for different primaries. If it is a metastatic from thyroid malignancy, the treatment will be different. If it is the metastasis from the oral cavity, the treatment will be different. So you have to know what is the primary to give the accurate or the correct treatment to the patient. So you have to know what is the primary first of all. So if after the complete examination also, if the findings are nil or negligible, then how do you proceed to find the primary? Tell me. FNAC is not. You can't do FNAC. Because by doing FNAC, you will find only the histology, cytology findings, not the primary site. Tell me, what are the investigation or what is the thing? How do you proceed now? Aishwarya, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me, do you know?
PET CT or ultrasound, PET CT scan for whole body.
PET CT scan is a good option. You can go to PET CT scan, but before that also you have to do some of the investigations. Now I will tell you what are the investigations. Good. One is PET CT. In case of metastasis, if you are unable to find the primary, one of the investigation is PET CT, but it is not the first line of investigation, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you can mute.
Thank you.
Sentinel lymph node biopsy. 143. Okay, I will come to you. 43 and Aishwarya. So, if all these clinical examinations are negative, then what is the course of action? Then you have to do examination under anesthesia followed by this pan endoscopy. You have to go for pan endoscopy, right? Pan endoscopy. Now, roll number 143. Roll number 143.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello? It's not a phone, right? 143.
Hello, ma'am.
What is your name?
Anudeep, ma'am. Anudeep, ma'am.
Anudeep.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what is meant by pan endoscopy. Anudeep, do you?
Upper digestive tract examination, ma'am. Upper trachea and esophagus.
Very good. Upper trachea, esophagus, nasopharynx, endoscopy, which is pan. Pan is complete endoscopy of upper aerodigestive tract. That is complete pan endoscopy is endoscopy of aerodigestive tract, complete examination. Very good. See, so whenever a case of metastatic cervical lymph node present to you, you have to find what is the source of primary by doing complete clinical examination. After doing complete clinical examination also, if you are not able to find the source of primary, then you have to go for pan endoscopy. Pan endoscopy is complete endoscopy of upper aerodigestive tract. Good. Which includes, this pan endoscopy includes nasopharyngoscopy, esophagobronchoscopy, laryngoscopy. All these scopies are included in the pan endoscopy. Pan endoscopy is nothing but endoscopy or complete endoscopy of upper aerodigestive tract. That is nasopharyngoscopy, esophagobronchoscopy, laryngoscopy. Roll number 143, you can mute yourself now.
Okay.
Roll number 142. Roll number 140. Roll number 140.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me, what are the, again, just repeat after me. Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Hello?
How do you evaluate a case of cervical lymph node, metastatic cervical lymph node?
By clinical examination, by finding the uh, primary cause
So you have to
and pan endoscopy.
first important step is to do complete clinical examination. Okay, complete head and neck examination and other examination also. If that examination is negative,
then we'll go for pan endoscopy.
okay, what is meant by pan endoscopy?
Upper aerodigestive tract examination through endoscopy.
Very good. What does it include? Tell me some of the scope.
Nasopharyngoscopy, esophagoscopy, laryngoscopy.
Okay. Now you have done pan endoscopy with the help of ENT surgeon, and you yourself have done endoscopies also like esophagobronchoscopy. If after doing pan endoscopy also you are unable to find the source of primary, okay?
Yes.
Then
Yes,
how do you proceed?
Then
You have done complete examination, negative, and endoscopy, negative. Then
biopsy, you do biopsy.
biopsy, so
No, ma'am, lymph node.
which lymph node? That metastatic lymph node, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Also, okay, if you do biopsy, what you will know?
The cytology.
Okay, you will know cytology as squamous cell carcinoma or adenocarcinoma. By knowing that, are you able to know what is the site of primary?
No, ma'am.
Then? So?
I don't know. I don't know, ma'am.
Okay. See, if there is cervical metastatic lymph nodes after complete head and neck examination and after other system examination also negative, then you go for pan endoscopy. If after doing pan endoscopy is also negative, then you have to go for surveillance biopsy or blind biopsies. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
You can mute yourself now. I will say.
Yes.
If nothing is found on pan endoscopy, that is what next? Then you have to go for surveillance biopsy or blind biopsies. Okay, you have to take surveillance biopsies or blind biopsies. This, from where do you take this blind biopsies? You have to take blind biopsies from the areas of tonsils, tonsillar beds, base of tongue, pyriform sinus, subglottic region, and fossa of Rosenmuller. These are the sites for blind biopsies. Okay, areas of blind biopsies are fossa of Rosenmuller, tonsil, base of the tongue, pyriform sinus, subglottic region. Roll number 141, 141.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me, if the result of pan endoscopy is negative, then how do you proceed?
Biopsy of blind biopsies or surveillances?
See, you should be very clear. This blind biopsies and surveillance biopsies is nothing to do with cervical lymph node biopsy. These biopsies are different. You will not touch the lymph node. You will do biopsies from this side. This is also known as surveillance biopsies or blind biopsies. Now tell me, what are the sites from where do you take this blind biopsies?
Tonsils, tonsillar beds, base of tongue, pyriform sinus, subglottic region, and fossa of Rosenmuller.
So just tell me, how do you proceed the case of metastatic cervical lymph node case? First, what you will do? If a patient present to you with cervical lymph node, which is metastatic.
Clinical examination.
Yes, clinical examination. If there are no findings on clinical examination, then just I had told just now itself. Tell me.
Blind biopsy. Pan endoscopy.
If the result in the pan endoscopy is also negative, then you have to go for
Blind biopsy.
if the result on blind biopsies is also negative, then one is you are doing complete clinical examination of head and neck, breast, chest, everything, which is negative. You will go for pan endoscopy. That is also negative. Then you will go for surveillance biopsy or blind biopsies. That is also negative. Then, do you know?
Yes.
Huh? Then you have to proceed with bilateral tonsillectomy. Okay, you can mute yourself. If surveillance biopsy is also negative or blind biopsies is also negative, then you have to take ipsilateral tonsillectomy. You have to remove the same side tonsil and you have to send it for biopsy. If it is also negative, if the ipsilateral tonsillectomy is also negative, then you have to proceed with MRI. Okay. So, what is the contraindication for preliminary lymph node biopsy in case of metastatic lymph node? What is the contraindication for preliminary lymph node biopsy in a metastatic lymph node? One 144. Roll number 144, 144, 11:30. Roll number 144.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me, what's your name?
Tanaya, ma'am.
Tanaya, tell me, how do you evaluate a case of cervical lymph node of metastatic in nature? See, a patient present to you with lymph nodes which are metastatic in nature in the neck. How do you proceed?
Pan endoscopy, ma'am.
Oh, after coming the patient itself, you will just order for the investigations only. Before that, before investigations,
Clinical examination, ma'am.
complete head and neck examination, breast examination, thyroid examination, chest examination, abdomen examination. Okay. If the examination findings are negative, then you will go for
Blind biopsy, ma'am.
See, before blind biopsies, you have to go for
pan endoscopy.
If the pan endoscopy is negative,
is also negative, we'll go for blind biopsy, ma'am.
From which sites you will take blind biopsies? At least tell me 2 sites.
Tonsils, tonsillar beds, base of the tongue.
Good, good, good. Next, if the blind biopsies is also negative, then you will go for
Ipsilateral
tonsillectomy. Ipsilateral tonsillectomy. Now tell me why I am not telling you to take the biopsy from the lymph node itself. See, I can just tell you, you can take lymph node biopsy, right?
Yes, ma'am.
But we are not discussing about anything about lymph node. We are just trying to find the source of primary. So
because
why
primary malignancy site cannot be found.
By doing the biopsy, you will not find the primary malignancy site. Like you will come to know what is the histology of that biopsy findings, but you will not come to know exactly the primary site. So I am not touching or talking about biopsy of the lymph node. Now tell me what are the other reasons for that? What are the other reasons? Or Like the other way, the question is, what is the contraindication for a preliminary, like first lymph node biopsy in a metastatic lymph node? What is the contraindications? Why you are not doing the lymph node biopsy at first in a metastatic lymph node? If you know it is a metastatic lymph node, why are you not giving or offering biopsy for the patient? Tanaya?
Yes, ma'am. Local spread can be, I mean, there will be a local spread from the lymph node, ma'am.
Exactly. If you take the biopsy, there will be the spread, local spread or generalized, that malignancy will spread itself. Okay. Tell me what are the other reasons?
Don't know, ma'am.
Don't know. Okay. See, we will see now. Just be there. So what is the contraindications for first doing lymph node biopsy in a metastatic lymph node? It is not bleeding. Surgeon is not worried about the bleeding. The reasons are, if you do biopsy, that area will produce scarring of the subcutaneous tissue and this will destroy the tissue planes. So this will affect doing surgery in the later time. So by doing the biopsy, there will be scarring in the subcutaneous tissue and will destroy the tissue plane. So this will affect the neck dissections. You will be unable to differentiate the scar tissue from the tumor. So you will not do biopsy in the initial stages. By doing the biopsy, there will be scarring in the subcutaneous tissue. This will affect the neck dissection. The other reason is this biopsy will destroy the nodal and facial barriers. So there will be seedling of the malignant cells in the soft tissues and lymphatics will occur, and there will be chances of neck recurrence and chances of general spread. Okay, this one is scarring. So this will be difficult in case of neck dissection, as it is difficult to distinguish between the scar tissue and the tumor. The other one is biopsy will destroy nodal or facial barriers. So there will be seedling of the malignant cells and chances of neck recurrences. Now, Tanaya, tell me,
ma'am,
what is the contraindications for doing first lymph node biopsy in a metastatic lymph node?
Because of the scarring, the tissue planes will be affected. And further differentiation from the tumor and the scarring tissue is difficult.
Very good.
Destruction of the nodal and the facial barriers. Neck.
So there will be neck recurrences and generalized spread. Okay, this is the reason why you will not do first lymph node biopsies. And by doing the lymph node biopsy, we will not be able to find the exact primary site. You can mute yourself now.
Thank you.
So if nothing is found after panendoscopy, blind biopsy, ipsilateral tonsillectomy also, panendoscopy, blind biopsy, ipsilateral tonsillectomy, then you have to go for MRI of neck. By doing MRI, why you have to do MRI? Because MRI, magnetic resonance imaging, can identify subtle changes, that is small light changes also, and it is possible to take guided biopsy, and extension of the primary to the surrounding soft tissues can be identified. If the MRI is also negative, first you will do complete clinical examination, then you will go for panendoscopy, next surveillance biopsy, next ipsilateral tonsillectomy. If ipsilateral tonsillectomy is negative, then you will go for MRI. If MRI is also negative, in the MRI also you are unable to find any source of primary, then you will go for FNAC of the lymph node. First you will go for FNAC. If FNAC is also negative, then an open biopsy. If the open biopsy, if it is metastatic, it is squamous cell carcinoma, then immediately you have to go for neck dissection. If it is operable, that is immediately. You should not delay the neck dissection. Why not delayed neck dissection? The best chance for cure and time for dissection is when the normal tissue planes are intact. So thus, The time to carry out a biopsy is when you are ready to carry out a dissection. So after complete examinations also, this is the occult primary. When there is no findings in pan endoscopy, when there is no findings on blind biopsy, no findings on ipsilateral tonsillectomy, no findings on MRI, and no findings on FNAC, then you will have to go for open biopsy, that is biopsy. At that time, you should be also ready to carry out the neck dissection. Roll number 135. Roll number 135. Roll number 135. One 137. Roll number 137. Roll number 130. Roll number 130.
Yes, ma'am.
What's your name?
Ajwala.
Okay, just tell me, how do you evaluate a case of metastatic cervical lymph node?
Ma'am.
How do you proceed, or how do you evaluate a case of metastatic cervical lymph node? Did you get my question?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me. See, this is the same question I am asking everyone, right?
Yes.
Just answer me. You are not listening to the class.
Listen.
You are listening. Tell me, how do you evaluate or how do you proceed a case of cervical lymph node of metastatic in nature?
Clinical examination.
Yes, clinical examination.
Clinical examination and pan endoscopy.
If clinical examination findings are negative only, then you have to proceed to pan endoscopy. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Then?
Blind biopsy.
If they are negative, then for blind biopsy, right? Then?
Yes, ma'am. Then we'll go for ipsilateral tonsillectomy.
Right. Ipsilateral tonsillectomy. If ipsilateral tonsillectomy is also negative,
then MRI.
If MRI is also negative,
FNAC.
FNAC of the
lymph
node. Okay, FNAC of the lymph node. What about the why you are not doing biopsy in the FNAC followed by biopsy? Why you are not doing biopsy at the initial stage? Why are you not doing? What are the contraindications for doing biopsy at the first stage? నా క్వశ్చన్ అర్థమైందా నీకు?
Yes, ma'am.
See, I am asking that you have done all these investigations like pan endoscopy, ipsilateral tonsillectomy, surveillance biopsy. Then you are going for biopsy.
Biopsy.
Why you are not going for the biopsy at the first?
Because it will destroy tissues, tissue planes.
So the neck dissection is difficult.
and then it will affect the neck dissection, and biopsy will destroy the facial or nodal barriers holding the cancer in check.
Okay.
I mean,
good. Right. Now your question is like, what are the findings you will be anticipated in the biopsy? Now, after doing all these things, now you have decided that you have to go for biopsy. Now, what are the findings you are able to see in your biopsy reports? What are the possible FNAC or biopsy reports? So what are the malignancies that are common in head and neck? Histologically, you have to tell. What are the types of malignancies? What are the histological types of malignancies that are common in head and neck? Tell me the names of some of the malignancies which you know, histological wise.
squamous cell.
Right, squamous cell.
Squamous cell.
What is the most common type of one which is common in GIT? Histology wise.
Adenocarcinoma.
So, what are the possible FNAC or biopsy reports is nothing but squamous cell carcinomas, non-squamous cell carcinomas like adenocarcinomas. Sometimes you will find poorly differentiated carcinomas also. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
You can mute yourself now.
Thank
you. If it is squamous cell carcinoma, you will be sure that it is from the head and neck origin, mostly like lips or palate or tongue, like that, squamous cell carcinoma. If it is from adenocarcinoma, then if the report is like adenocarcinoma, then you have to think salivary neoplasm, thyroid, breast, lung, renal, GI malignancy. These are the possible sites for adenocarcinoma. If it is squamous cell, it is from head and neck. If it is adeno, then you have to think the possibility of salivary gland neoplasm, thyroid, breast, occult lung cancer, prostate, renal malignancy, GI malignancy. So if it is a squamous cell carcinoma, the treatment is different. If the carcinoma is adenocarcinoma, then the treatment is different. So what is the treatment of metastatic adenocarcinoma? If it is a metastatic adenocarcinoma, see, metastatic, if it is cervical lymph nodes are metastatized, then it is an end stage disease. In such case, there is no role for surgery. If it is adenocarcinoma, then there is role of chemotherapy. Like carboplatin, you can give these drugs if it is adenocarcinoma. But if it is squamous cell carcinoma, then the treatment is different. Like you have to go for radiotherapy. Most common pathology of cervical neck lymph node metastasis is squamous cell carcinoma. Okay. So in the biopsy reports, mostly you will see squamous cell carcinoma. In case if you find adenocarcinoma, then you have to think of these sources. And the treatment for metastatic adenocarcinoma is chemotherapy, no role of surgery. And ultimately, last, there is a role of PET scan. Okay. PET scan, in this PET scan, you will do with the isotope like 18-fluorodeoxyglucose analog. It is absorbed by the neoplastic cells, and this is detected by positron emission tomography. So in PET scan, we use this isotope like 18-fluorodeoxyglucose. This 18-fluorodeoxyglucose is preferentially, the malignant cells preferentially absorb this 18-fluorodeoxyglucose compared to the normal cells, and this is detected by positron emission tomography. So just we can overview after this is the management of occult primary. Occult primary is the one in which there is cervical lymph nodes metastasis, but you will be unable to find the source of primary after investigations. So first you will go for clinical examination. complete head and neck examination, thyroid, salivary glands, breast, GIT, renal, all examination. After doing this examination also, if it is negative, then you have to go for pan endoscopy. Pan endoscopy is nothing but complete upper aerodigestive tract endoscopy. If it is also negative, then you have to go for surveillance biopsy or blind biopsies. You have to take from blind biopsies from sites like tonsil, tonsillar fossa, fossa of Rosenmuller. If it is also negative, then you go for ipsilateral tonsillectomy. And if it is also negative, then go for MRA or CT. Mostly we prefer MRA because there is no radiation and it can identify all the small changes. If it is also negative on MRI, then you go for FNAC. If FNAC is positive, like if FNAC shows squamous cell carcinoma, which is the most common type of carcinoma of the head and neck, then you go for appropriate treatment like neck dissections. If it is non-squamous cell carcinoma like adenocarcinoma, then think about salivary gland, thyroid, and give chemotherapy. If it is poorly differentiated carcinomas, then you have to go for immunohistochemistry. For purely differentiated carcinomas, examples for purely differentiated carcinomas are lymphomas. In such cases, you go for immunohistochemistry, electron microscopy. If the FNAC is negative, then you have to repeat FNAC. If you are unable to find any sources on FNAC also, then you have to go for open biopsy. You should not go for open biopsy at the first. You should not go for open biopsy at the first because this will destroy the tissue planes, which will affect the neck dissection and which also will spread the, like it will also cause neck recurrences. So this is the management of occult primary. Occult primary is nothing but metastatic cervical lymph node in which you are unable to find the primary after complete examination and after complete investigations. Now we will go for what are the different types of neck dissections. Roll number 126. Roll number 126. Roll number 122. 122. Roll number 122. Roll number 81. Roll number 81. is unable to. Roll number 81. Roll number 82. Roll number 82. Roll number 143. Roll number 143. Helper. Roll number 104. Roll number 104. Roll number 136. Roll number 136. I don't know whether you people are in the class or not. Rest of time asking questions. Roll number 136. Roll number 130. Why you people are unable to unmute yourself, or you're not answering your any questions like voluntarily? Okay then. So today we have come to the end of today's class. And one important topic to discuss for today is types of neck dissection. So if FNAC shows squamous cell carcinoma, then you have to go for neck dissection. These neck dissections, there are two types of neck dissection. One is radical neck dissection, the other one is modified radical neck dissection. In case of radical neck dissection, level 1 to 5 lymph nodes are removed. Level 1 is submental submandibular, level 2 is upper jugular, level 3 middle jugular, level 4 is lower jugular, and level 5 is posterior triangle. All these lymph nodes are removed along with en bloc removal of fat, fascia, lymph nodes from level 1 to 5. And in addition to that, you will remove two muscles, that is sternocleidomastoid and omohyoid, and two veins, internal jugular vein, external jugular vein, two nerves, spinal accessory and cervical plexus, two glands, submandibular salivary glands and tail of parotid, and prevertebral fascia. This is all the structures you will remove in case of radical neck dissection. If FNAC report shows squamous cell carcinoma, then you have to immediately proceed to the neck dissection. Neck dissections are of like two types. One is radical neck dissection, the other one is modified radical dissection. In case of radical neck dissections, you have to remove all these structures, lymph nodes from level 1 to 5, and two muscles, sternocleidomastoid muscle, omohyoid, two veins, internal jugular vein and external jugular vein, and two nerves, spinal accessory, cervical plexus, two glands, submandibular salivary glands and tail of parotid, and prevertebral fascia. Coming to modified radical neck dissection, there are three types of modified radical neck dissection. This modified radical neck dissection is nothing but, in addition to the radical neck dissection, you will spare one structure, at least one structure. In type 1, you will spare spinal accessory nerve. In type 2, you will spare two structures, that is spinal accessory nerve and internal jugular vein. In type 3, you will spare all the three structures like spinal accessory, internal jugular and sternocleidomastoid muscle. So in case of modified neck dissections, you have to spare at least one structure. If you spare only spinal accessory nerve, that is type 1. If you spare spinal accessory nerve and internal jugular vein, that is type 2. If you spare along with internal jugular vein, spinal accessory nerve, sternocleidomastoid muscle also, then it is type 3. It is also known as functional neck dissection. There is also terms like selective neck dissection, where you will selectively remove some of the levels of lymph nodes, like supraomohyoid, if you remove 1, 2, 3. Okay. And these are the different types of incisions for neck dissection. This is modified Cryles incision, double Y, inverted double Y incisions. This is McPhee's incisions. This is the most common incision we give for neck dissection. McPhee's, 2 horizontal incisions. This is the McPhee most common. So neck dissections are of 2 types: radical neck dissection, modified radical neck dissection. Again, this modified radical neck dissection is divided into 3 types depending upon the structure you spare. The different types of incisions are like, one is modified Cryles incision for neck dissection. This is modified Cryles. This is McPhee's incision. This is double Y incision. These are different incisions for your neck dissections. Another one, this you have to read for yourself, lymph node staging. This lymph node staging is same for all the cervical cancer lymph nodes. Okay, for all cervical cancers, oral cavity cancers, the lymph node staging is same. NX, you cannot assess. N0, no. N1, single ipsilateral lymph node, which is 3 centimeter or less. N1, single ipsilateral lymph node, which is 3 centimeter or less. N2, single ipsilateral node, which is more than 3 centimeters but less than 6 centimeters. In N2, there will be 2A, 2B, 2C. 2A, if it is more than 3 centimeters but less than 6 centimeters, single ipsilateral. 2B, if it is multiple ipsilateral. 2C, if it is bilateral or contralateral but not 6 centimeters. If it is more than 6 centimeters, it is N3. So in short, N1, it is less than 3 centimeters. N3, it is more than 6 centimeters. N2, it is between 3 to 6 centimeters, multiple ipsilateral or contralateral. So this is about lymph node staging, and this is about cervical lymph node metastasis and upper primary and everything. So this ends today's class. If any doubts, you can ask.